It was an ordinary morning at the international airport when Helena, 78 years old, approached the airline counter carrying only a small wheeled suitcase and her time-worn leather handbag. Her gray hair was pulled back in a simple bun, and she wore a navy blue coat that had seen better days. "Excuse me, ma'am," said the attendant, a young woman no older than 25, with a forced smile.
Are you traveling alone today?
Helena confirmed with a nod, extending her ID and ticket for the flight to Paris. The attendant frowned, examining the papers. "I'll need to check a few things. Do you have an escort or family member who can be contacted?" "I don't need an escort," Helena replied calmly, but the employee had already called her supervisor. "It's protocol," murmured the supervisor, a middle-aged woman who approached with an air of authority. "Ma'am, your age. Well, we have to ensure you're fit to travel alone. Can I see a medical certificate?"
Elena sighed.
This wasn't the first time. Gradually, a small crowd began to form around the counter. Other passengers whispered among themselves, some shaking their heads in pity, others with impatience.
Poor thing, a woman murmured.
At her age, she should be home with family. "It's irresponsible to let someone like that travel alone," a man in a suit commented. "What if she gets lost? What if she feels unwell?" The supervisor returned after a few minutes with a form in her hands. "Ma'am, I'll need you to fill out this liability waiver. And it really would be better if you had a family member here." Helena looked at the paper, then at the people around her. Her hands, though marked by age, were steady. Her eyes, blue as the sky she knew so well, gleamed with quiet determination. "You know," she said, her voice soft but clear enough for everyone to hear, 42 years ago, I used to pilot Boeing 737s for this very airline." The murmuring ceased instantly. Helena continued, pulling a worn wallet from her purse. "I started as a flight attendant in 1970, when women in the cockpit were almost a fantasy. I studied at night, trained on weekends, and faced jokes, discrimination, and constant doubts about my ability." She showed a black-and-white photo, a young woman in uniform, standing next to an aircraft. "This is me next to the first plane I commercially piloted, in 1978. Over the next 25 years, I flew over 2 million kilometers, transported over 500,000 passengers, and never had a single accident." The supervisor swallowed hard, finally recognizing the name on the document. Helena Carvalho Santos, a legend in Brazilian aviation. "I flew through storms that would make some of you pray for your lives," Helena continued. "I landed on ice-covered runways in Europe, navigated through turbulence over the Andes, and once safely brought home a plane with faulty landing gear, saving 237 lives." She put the photo away and looked directly at the supervisor. "I was the first woman to command international flights for this company. I trained dozens of pilots, many of whom probably still work here. I retired as a senior commander, with over 15,000 registered flight hours." The silence in the airport was almost tangible. Passengers stopped walking, employees paused their activities. Even the children seemed to sense the importance of that moment. "So, my dear," Helena said, with a gentle but firm smile, "when you ask me if I'm fit to travel alone, I answer, I spent my entire life bringing people like you safely home. I think I can find my seat on the plane." The supervisor, visibly embarrassed, quickly processed the documentation.
I apologizze, Commander Santos.
"I didn't recognize you. It's an honor to have you with us today." Helena nodded gracefully.
"Don't worry.
It happens more than you imagine. Society has a tendency to underestimate people based solely on appearance or age." As she walked toward the boarding gate, other airport employees began to recognize her. A young pilot, passing by, stopped and saluted respectfully. "Commander Santos? I heard a lot about you in flight school. It's truly a privilege to meet you." Helena smiled. "Keep flying safely, young man. The sky always has room for those who respect it." At the boarding gate, she sat down calmly, taking a book from her purse. It was an updated aviation technical manual. She still studied, still learned, still stayed connected with her passion. A flight attendant approached. "Commander, would you like to board early?" "No, thank you," Helena replied. "I can wait like any other passenger. But I appreciate the courtesy." When she finally boarded, the flight's captain greeted her personally in the cockpit. "Commander Santos, What an honor to have you aboard.
This is my first international flight as captain.
Helena examined the instruments with knowing eyes.
Beautiful equipment.
Much more advanced than in my day. Fly safely, Commander. And remember, experience doesn't replace prudence, but prudence without experience can be dangerous. During the flight, Helena looked out the window, watching the clouds below, a view she had contemplated thousands of times from the pilot's seat. At 78, she still traveled, still explored the world, still defied the limited expectations others had of her. Upon landing in Paris, she was greeted by her daughter, who worked at the Brazilian embassy. "How was the flight, Mom?" Helena smiled, adjusting her bag strap on her shoulder.
As always, my dear.
Calm and safe. After all, even when I'm not in command, I still know a good pilot when I hear one. And so, Helena Carvalho Santos continued her journey, proving once again that competence, experience, and dignity have no expiration date. A person's worth is not measured by the years they carry, but by the wisdom, courage, and contributions they offer to the world. Her legacy wasn't just in the thousands of safe flights she commanded, but in the silent lesson she left wherever she went. Never underestimate someone based solely on what your eyes can see. Sometimes, the most extraordinary person is disguised as ordinary, just waiting for the opportunity to show what they are truly capable of.
Trattino basso 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 tra.